Welcome to my Pecha Kucha presentation, Something About Opioids. My name is Antonio Bertone, and in this presentation I will break down the steps that I took when determining if the risks of getting addicted to prescription painkillers outweigh the rewards of the temporary pain relief. I found both the Intro to Business Research book and the Elemental Library Research book by Mary George extremely useful in getting my research started. It was in the Business 301 book that I learned about the scientific method which I proceeded to follow for the development of my paper. I started off by trying to come up with something that I already knew a little bit about, but I was also interested in learning more about. And from there, I was kind of able to try and think of a question and narrow it down into something that I'd really be able to follow for my research topic. So after I came up with my question, I just started to work on a real basic outline of where I thought my research was going to take me, the different things that I wanted to really look into, and kind of develop a plan for how I was going to get to my conclusion. So once I had a rough idea of what I wanted my paper to look like, I started to search for some different sources, and once I found some sources that I thought would be beneficial, I put them right in on my outline where I thought they would work the best with my research. Once I had my outline developed and my sources put right into the outline, I felt like research was really a piece of cake. If I found that I needed a little bit more information on a topic, I went back and found other sources, but for the most part, the way that I had it set up really made it pretty easy. I've realized more recently that prescription opioids are a growing problem, and I really wanted to question whether or not the risks of getting addicted outweighed the benefits of whatever temporary pain relief people taking them found. So once I had an idea of what I wanted the focal point of my paper to be, I was then able to develop different questions that would help me get to the eventual answer, such as how big of a problem are opioids, how much benefit do they have, and what are some different alternatives available. So one thing I found relating to the problem is although opioids have always been addictive, abuse has really only become a large problem within the past 10 to 15 years, and it's mainly only among Americans. While Americans represent just 5% of the world's population, they take over 75% of the prescription painkillers. Another interesting statistic that I found is that in 2010 alone, 254 million prescriptions for opioids were filled in the United States, which is enough pain medicine to medicate every American adult around the clock for 1 month. The benefits, however, are not talked about as often. For somebody that recently went through surgery or someone else who had a traumatic accident, opioid-based pain relievers can be the best option for them, and that's why they're one of the oldest forms of prescription pain relief around. There were many alternatives to opioids that I found, ranging from medical marijuana that's only available in certain areas to different types of therapy, whether it be acupuncture or massage. But one commonality was there really wasn't anything that has the same effectiveness or potency as the prescription opioids. So the biggest obstacle or barrier for me was that my conclusion didn't really line up with what I thought it was going to be. I thought that I was going to, find that we had to get rid of prescription opioids altogether, when really that's not the issue. I think it just needs to be addressed how much they're prescribed. In order to limit the number of prescriptions out there, doctors need to make sure that opioid treatment is the best option for the patient, and prior to prescribing opioids, outline treatment goals and consider how therapy will stop if the benefits don't outweigh the risks. Also, for chronic use of opioids, I think that it's important that doctors go back and reevaluate patients, make sure that the risks continue to outweigh the rewards throughout the treatment, and make sure that they're not showing any symptoms or signs of addiction. If a patient begins to show signs of dependency, that's when a doctor really needs to evaluate the patient and see if the benefits still outweigh the rewards, and seek treatment options or make sure that there are treatment options available for the patient if they are needed. It would be extremely difficult or near impossible to get rid of opioid treatment completely. That's why my conclusion is rather to come up with steps to help patients being treated avoid addiction or avoid dependency. Something that stood out to me that I would love to continue to research is how closely linked the opioid epidemic and the heroin epidemic truly are. One statistic that I found is 3/4 of people that get addicted to prescription opioids wind up turning to heroin because it's a cheaper alternative. Because heroin and opioids have such a similar effect, when somebody's prescription runs out or they no longer have access to opioids, it's cheaper, it's more accessible, and it's pretty much the same high for somebody that's addicted or dependent to opioids. I look forward to using the research that I've learned and to continue to build upon the even more research. And I just want to thank everybody for taking the time to listen to my Pecha Kucha presentation, Something About Opioids. Thank you.